So you want to start a side hustle. You're looking for some extra money, maybe to pay off debt or pay for groceries, but you're not exactly sure how to get there. I have got some great tips for you today. Hey you, my name is Sarah. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you don't know me, I'm the owner of FrozenPennies.com. I'm a financial coach, and as a family, we are debt-free. A little while ago, I did this great video about how to figure out what kind of side hustles you could do. And the biggest question I got was, okay, so now I have these great choices on side hustles, but how do I get there? How do I advertise them? How do I start my side hustle? And how do I learn more about them? So I have 10 tips for you today to figure out exactly how to start your own side hustle. First, I have to tell you, to figure out where your passion lies. What are the things that you love to do? Because if you don't love doing your side hustle, it's going to be very short-lived. You're not going to want to do it. You're going to get tired of it. You're going to get bored of it. You're going to get burnt out, and you're not going to want to continue. So if you can figure out what you're super passionate about, what your superpower is, then you can utilize that superpower to create some extra income for yourself. For example, if you're methodical about numbers and you love to keep track of books and bookkeeping, you could have a side hustle as a bookkeeper. More on bookkeeping later. The second tip is to kind of create a marketing strategy. So in the blogging business and the YouTube business, one of the biggest tips that we learn very fast is to market your business. This means Facebook. It means Instagram. It means word of mouth for a side hustle. The one thing that everybody I know who has a side hustle does is has a Facebook page where they share their creations or their jobs or their products or their services on the Facebook page to get the word of mouth out. That way, when somebody hears about, oh, Joyce's cookies, they're going to go to Facebook and look for Joyce's cookie page so they can see the kind of cookies that Joyce is making. So things like baking and gardening and laundry and sewing and alterations, those kinds of things are the perfect spot to advertise on Facebook. You can even go old school and go to Canva. I'll leave a link below so you know where to find it. And create your own flyers. Put them up places, telephone poles, libraries, laundromat bulletin boards, every place you can do, put them on cars. Any place that you can think of that somebody might stick a flyer, you can advertise your services on a flyer. Now, before we go on, I want to give you the next tip, which has to do with under-the-table employment. Now, I am not a tax professional. I do not work for the IRS. I am not any kind of certified tax advisor. So I can only tell you my experiences. For the longest time, the IRS considered my blog a hobby. So even though I was making money from a hobby, because it was a small amount, I still had to claim the amount, but I was taxed much less on the hobby than I would be for starting a small business. Now that my business has grown I'm into my 7th year on this, I am now considered this year a small business. But if you choose or decide that this under the table concept is right for you, then you can also make that choice on your own. I highly encourage you to do some research on Google and Google some of these things and how exactly it works, and call a tax advisor for your specific situation. Next, virtual assistant. How do you become a virtual assistant? This is a great job for people who like to stay home and like to do work, maybe say after normal business hours, in the middle of the night, first thing in the morning. I found this pretty great course. I'm going to leave a link to that below. It also has a free workshop that goes with it. So if you're interested in a virtual assistant side hustle, you could take the free course on this to kind of get a feel for what it would be like. Now, how would you become a bookkeeper? Well, this really does depend on what your experiences are. If you already have a job in an office in accounts payable and receivable and know how to use QuickBooks or a spreadsheet, then you already have the skills needed to be a bookkeeper. I also have a free masterclass on bookkeeping. I'm going to leave a link below in the description for that too. And what if you decide that you would like to sit with the elderly or special needs or even babysit children? There's a couple of ways that you can go about doing this as well. Again, word of mouth, flyers, on Facebook, just letting everybody know that you have availability for these things. Also, there's a company called Care that you can go online and create an account. I'm going to leave a link for that below too, where you can find people in your area who are looking for people to care for elderly, special needs, and children. What about selling books on Amazon? Well, you have to learn how to write the book first. I'm going to leave a link below on a course that I'm actually taking right now to learn KDP on Amazon, which is Kindle Direct Publishing. And that will help you to kind of get a feel for how it works. It's a monthly membership. I think the first month right now is $20. I'm going to leave that link below for you too if you're interested in writing a Kindle book. This is for physical books and ebooks. Now, I also want to let you know that some of the comments when I talked about this in the previous video were talking about how people who have done this can't get the books to sell. Again, I'm going to reiterate the marketing strategy here. It's all about the marketing. So if you can create some buzz around your book and get the word out about this great book, then you might be able to get more sales from it. Setting up an Etsy store for your crafts and your sewing projects is a great way to get them sold. The great thing about an Etsy store is it doesn't cost anything to set up an Etsy store. They take a very small portion of the amount you've earned. They hold that for their fee, but it's a super great way to get started with a little online side hustle. Now you do have to take into consideration shipping costs and make sure that when you're setting up your Etsy store that you incorporate those shipping costs as well. Check out YouTube. There's so many videos on how to start an Etsy shop. You will have no problem finding the information that you need to do that. Okay, let's talk about cooking. You've decided that you want to bake cookies, but you're worried about health code violation. In most states, they have something called Cottage Laws. Cottage Laws are guidelines that say that you can cook non-perishable foods in your home without getting approval from public health. I encourage you to Google Cottage Laws in your state to find out exactly what the guidelines are. If you want to cook dinners for people, you have to go to their home, cook the stuff there, and leave. You cannot transport perishable foods to somebody's house because of health code violations. Cookies, cakes, pies, and breads in my state are considered non-perishables. So I could cook them in my home and sell them without the risk of being fined by the Department of Health. And lastly, I personally try to encourage everyone to start their own business. I think that it is the best way to be profitable in this day and age. There's so much money out there to be made by people who have a talent or are willing to learn a new skill that you can start a business on the side and in return make it your full-time income and be happier and making more money than you may or may not be at your full-time job. I mean, how many stories have we heard, right, about these amazing YouTubers who were doctors once and had a YouTube channel and just quit being a doctor because they were doing better at YouTube and they enjoyed it more? There's so much interest in this right now. People are looking for ways to both cut down on what they're spending and raise their income. And this is an excellent way to bring in some extra income. Thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate you and have a great day. Bye-bye.